Distillation is separation by boiling point. This is an example of what a board operator may see when looking at a distillation system. So the board operator will have an overview screen, a feed screen, the distillation tower, aka tower, the bottom half of the tower and what's leaving it, aka the bottoms, and the top of the tower along with what's coming out at the top, aka the overhead. Let's break down what's happening in each of these subsystems. The feed entering the column is a mixture of fluids that boil at different temperatures. The fluids with the lower boiling points are referred to as lights, and the fluids with the higher boiling points are referred to as heavies. The feed is going through a shell and tube heat exchanger to get preheated prior to entering the tower. It is very common for the product leaving the tower bottoms to be used to preheat the feed, but in this scenario it's using thermal, which is an oil commonly used for heating processes. From there, it enters the distillation column on the feed tray. The temperature at the feed tray should be hot enough that the lights flash into vapor and travel up to the tray above it. As you go up the column, the temperature of each tray drops and vice versa. Therefore, each tray is a different temperature. The goal is that the top of the column is hot enough for the lights to stay in vapor form and lead through the top of the column while being cool enough for the heavies to stay in liquid form. The heavies leaving the bottoms becomes the bottoms product, and a portion of it is directed to the reboiler. From the reboiler, it returns to the column bottoms. The reboiler is what supplies the heat to the column. The bottom is the hottest part of the column. Any lights in the bottom should flash into vapor at this temperature. They will travel up each tray until they reach a tray that is cool enough to turn them into liquids, aka condense them. The vapors that make it to the top of the column without condensing become the overhead. The overhead goes to a heat exchanger that cools it enough to condense it. This is referred to as the overhead condenser or the reflux condenser. The liquid overhead then goes to the reflux drum, and from there it becomes the overhead product. A portion of the overhead product is directed back to the top side of the column. This stream is the reflux. The reflux is how we create the difference in temperature between the top of the column and the bottom of the column. The reflux entering the column condenses and knocks down any heavies that are entrained in the lights and carried up the column. Without it, we wouldn't have the temperature difference in the column and would end up boiling the heavies out with the lights. So the reflux cools the top of the column in order to ensure the purity of the overhead product. If you'd like more in-depth videos about the distillation system, let me know in the comments.